From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, December the 3rd, 2019. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met this evening with Blue and White Party leader Benny Gantz in Tel Aviv in yet another attempt to reach an agreement towards a unity government, with no real progress reported. Blue and White issued a statement following the 45-minute-long meeting, saying of Netanyahu, the Likud chairman brought no offer that matches his legal situation or recognizes that he lost the elections or any new offer at all, adding that in the meeting he refused to commit to the government's basic outline or to not seek personal immunity. In short, the statement said Netanyahu chose elections. Meanwhile, Israel's Central Elections Committee said that February the 25th of next year is the earliest possible date that another round of elections could be held in Israel if the deadlock continues. The Knesset has until December the 11th to try and prevent that from happening, needing at least 61 lawmakers to agree on a Knesset member to form a government. Ahead of the meeting this evening with Gantz, Netanyahu said that a unity government was still possible. Tomorrow, Netanyahu heads to Portugal to meet with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Netanyahu was apparently supposed to meet Pompeo on the sidelines of the NATO conference in London. That was reportedly canceled because not enough notice was given to organizers. The Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations weighed in at the end of last week on the letter from some 100 Democratic members of the U.S. House of Representatives against the recent U.S. policy reversal regarding the Israeli settlements, stating that the settlements are not per se in violation of international law. Chairman Arthur Stark and Executive Vice Chairman Malcolm Hoenlein said the letter, as well as statements from the UN and the EU, were based on mistaken assumptions and distortions of fact. For example, they said the withholding of aid to the West Bank and Gaza, which the letter did not note, was in accordance with the Taylor Force Act and the Anti-Terrorism Clarification Act, adopted by Congress on a bipartisan basis in response to the Palestinian Authority's rewarding terrorists who carry out attacks against Israelis. Stark and Hoenlein said of the policy reversal, it was to be expected that this would evoke some controversy, but should not be taken as an opportunity for propagandizing and furthering the efforts to delegitimize Israel. It is important, they said, especially for the members of Congress, to present the proper context, free of partisan political considerations. The Washington Free Beacon reported that the International Criminal Court yesterday decided not to reopen an investigation into alleged Israeli war crimes stemming from the Mavi Marmara incident of 2010, when, if you recall, a flotilla of anti-Israel armed protesters tried to break Israel's blockade of Gaza. When Israeli forces intercepted the boat and boarded it, they were attacked. And in the clashes that ensued, 9 Turkish citizens and 1 American citizen were killed. The Lawfare Project, who had worked to get the ICC to decline pressure to prosecute Israel, praised the decision. Executive Director Brooke Goldstein said it's refreshing to see an international institution doing the right thing and standing up for law and justice rather than bowing to anti-Israel political pressure. The city of Aalst in Belgium has relinquished its place on the UNESCO Heritage of Humanity list rather than face possible allegations from the UN body over a float in the city's annual parade that many feel was anti-Semitic. If you recall, back in March, one of the parade's floats included grinning Jews holding money, one of them with a rat on its shoulder. UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, was set to vote on whether the parade could remain on the heritage list on December the 12th. The city said the allegations against it were grotesque, that this was an expression of free speech and of humor, stating, "We are not anti-Semites or racists. Aalst will always remain the capital of ridicule and satire." B'nai B'rith International, who is among several Jewish organizations who condemned the float in March, said they were outraged. that the Aalst Carnival has a history of trafficking in anti-Semitic tropes, and they called on UNESCO to strongly affirm that there will not be any tolerance for these kinds of anti-Semitic caricatures and displays. And a Jewish cemetery in eastern France was vandalized. More than 100 headstones at the cemetery near Strasbourg were found covered with swastikas and anti-Semitic slogans today. President of the Jewish Consistory for the Bas-Rhine region, Maurice Dahan, told French news agency AFP that it was shocking. The government's regional authority said it is also investigating a similar incident at a cemetery in the nearby Schaffhaus-Zorn. And closer to home, police in Washington arrested a 28-year-old man in the defacing of the historic 6th and I synagogue in our nation's capital, found this past Friday. The vandalism there included swastikas as well as the word Jew carved into a door. In emails to the synagogue community on Friday, Rabbis Shira Stutman, Aaron Potek, and Jesse Paikin wrote, "In these moments, it's important to remember that it is not a shame but an honor to be a Jew." The rabbi said, "We can and will respond to this hateful act with open doors, in resilience and spirit, living Jewish lives of joy, optimism, and pride." Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, December the 3rd at 7 o'clock, Jonathan Brent talks about the history and mission of the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research. Then Simon Rodan Ben-Zaken and Daniel Schwamenthal of the American Jewish Committee discuss anti-Semitism in Europe. And David Harris talks about his own family's experiences. That's at the Stryker Center of Temple Emmanuel. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with former chair and CEO of Universal Music Publishing, David Renzer. At 10, authors Mati Friedman and Nicole Krauss talk about writing about Israel. And coming up right after this newscast, it's the ILTV's Election Arena. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, December the 3rd, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader.